94.9 WDKB, it's Sean Lowe here, and this is another installment of our SBDC webinar series, and I'm joined by a couple different people. I've got Dr. Jock Samis from the Small Business Development Center as part of Waubonsee Community College. So, Dr. Jock, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Sean.
Also got Tia Anderson from Heartland Bank, and Tia, you've got a guest with you as well, right?
I do, and I'm excited to announce him, but before I do, I was really excited to get asked to come in and help out a little bit with some questions from Dr. Jock with the SBDC. And one of the things that I know we talk about is what resources do we have, what tools do we have that we can help our business community thrive. And with that, once I was asked to come on board, I get the opportunity to talk with so many businesses about their needs, their wants, what they're looking for, what they're lacking. And then I use my resource, which is Rob Minert, who is with me today. And Rob has been doing this for about 8 years, and he hits the ground running every single day. This is his wheelhouse. He's the one that's working with these businesses from the ground floor up. So I am going to kind of roll over and have Rob join you for a little bit. And don't think I won't chime in here or there.
Oh, wait. Hey, Tia, before you go, Tia, can you come back? Hey, I don't think you told us who you work for.
Oh, I work for Heartland Bank. I'm the retail manager. That's important, isn't it?
I think so.
I do too.
All right.
I'm going to roll.
Here goes Tia, and here comes Rob. Hey, look at that. Hey, welcome, Rob.
Guys, how are you?
So, Rob, thanks for joining us today, and we're talking about the ABCs of getting a business loan. So let's just start out with the first basic question, like, what are the basic steps that you have to take in order to help get yourself a business loan?
Sure. No, yeah, that's actually a good question. We actually get that quite often. So I like to make it as simple as possible, really, for business owners. I tend to let them know, hey, it's just a matter of getting your ducks in a row, kind of doing the work up front. It makes your life a lot easier. It makes the banks work a little bit easier as well. So what I mean by getting ducks in a row essentially is just getting your business financials in order. So whether that's 2 years, 3 years tax returns, really that's financial statements. If you have an accountant prepare financials, work with them to compile that. And then in addition, personal tax returns as well. The bank will look at all of that just to get an idea in terms of cash flow, just in terms of how performance has been. And then in addition to the financial documents, I like to at least start a list of entity documents, so foundational documents. So that's however your entity is set up, if it's S Corp, C Corp, limited liability company. Again, your CPA can help with a lot of that. But however your organization is set up, you'll have articles of organization, you'll have bylaws, operating agreements, things like that. Again, you don't need to bring that to your initial loan interview, but it does help to at least have that list ready to go. And then really from there, it's a matter of just kind of asking yourself a few basic questions. Really, it's what do I need the loan for? What am I going to use the money for? Am I going to buy equipment? Do I need to buy a piece of real estate? Do I need it for working capital? And then from there, I would ask myself, okay, if it's a transaction, do I need to put money into the transaction? And then you just ask yourself, how much can I afford to put into the transaction, right? And once you think of that, I think that's going to give you some good steps, or at least lead-in questions to ask yourself as well. And really from there, it's a matter of, do I have collateral to pledge? And we can get into that a little bit later. But I think that gives you at least a good idea of steps to take, initial steps to take before you end up calling the lender.
Sean, is your head spinning over this? Because mine is a little bit.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed right now. I had a thought about starting a business. It's gone right now because I don't know if I'm yeah, okay.
So, Rob, you threw out something, financial statements. And
sure.
Okay, gotcha. What does that really mean? What are the financial statements that you're looking for?
Yeah, so really that's however you keep track of your monthly income and expenses. So however you figure out, okay, I have this amount in take home pay. If let's say you're a startup company and you're looking to sell widgets, right? You actually have to track that before you report it to the IRS. So you will have financial statements to prepare on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, annual basis. If you haven't already, I would work with your accountant or CPA. They'll help you with those initial steps. But that's all I really mean by financial statements.
Okay, so I am plugging everything into QuickBooks as an example.
Yep.
So I could just print a report that says profit and loss statement, and that's going to tell me what my sales are and what my expenses are and how much I made or lost, right?
Yes, so we'll look for it from a 12-month perspective, so year by year, and then also an interim perspective as well. So through, let's say, October 31st, 2021.
Okay, and then you want to see a balance sheet too, right?
Yep. So that gives you, so that'll give you a breakout of your assets and liabilities. So how many assets do you have? What's your capital look like? Do you have cash? What's your additional assets? Do you have real estate? And then any other outstanding debt. Just gives us a good picture of the company's overall net worth as well.
Okay, so assets good, liabilities bad.
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
To get an idea, it's good to have more assets than liabilities. That's how you create net worth.
Okay, and statement of cash flows would be the third financial statement, right?
Yes, that's a good one. It's not too often where we get that up front, but we'll take those financial statements and actually put them into a software program, and then we'll get a statement of cash flows from that.
Okay, good. Because you want to know how to get paid back, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, you said something about what the entity is. Sean just started out. He is deciding he wants to be a brain surgeon, so he hangs his shingle out for brain surgery, but he hasn't incorporated. He is by himself. He's self-employed.
Sure.
What kind of information is he going to give you when you're looking for, incorporation documents and minutes and all those kinds of things?
No, that's a good question. To be quite honest, it's going to be a little bit tougher just because he's starting.
Because he's Sean. Let's get that out of you.
Everything's tougher when you're Sean. Let's just throw that out there right now.
No, and really that would be any sort of paperwork that you file with the state. So you'll need to file your business and record that you are an operating company as of a certain date. So you'll just want to verify that you are truly a brain surgeon, whether
can't even say it with a straight face, can you, Rob? You cannot even say it with a straight face, can you? Yeah. You're thinking about it though.
But from there, it's just a matter of just kind of the basic filing documents with the state.
So, Jock, that's kind of where I was thinking when Rob was first talking. Like, when we came out of the gate, we were kind of talked about this. Like, you already own a business and you're already running the business, and then you want to get a loan, and then you went back to like the beginnings of, okay, I want to start a business. What do I need to do to start? Is that where you were going with that, Dr. Jock, since I'm going to start my own brain surgery company?
Yes, because, I think you have a lot of talent in that aspect. So I wanted you to understand what, needs to be done. So, Rob, picking up on what Sean said,
sure.
And we're taking this act on the road just in case you didn't realize that. But so a startup's going to be a lot different than an established business, obviously.
Correct.
Okay. And are you going to look more at Sean's individual assets, what he has, the home that he has that you're going to try to snatch from him if he doesn't pay the loan, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, no. So we'll look at the full picture. So whatever assets he does have, if we can pledge that as collateral. So if you do need to, if we need to secure the loan with your primary residence, we would look at doing something like that. But I guess to go back to your point on what documents you need ahead of time, I think if you're just starting out, my tip would be establish a business plan. Work with local leaders or resources as well, just to really get that business plan hammered out. Even if you go through the bank or if you go through the Small Business Administration, the SBA, they'll ask for a business plan up front just to get an idea of, okay, who's your competition? What's your managerial experience? How do you plan on getting from A to B to C? And within that business plan, I think having revenue projections as well, that'll give you a good leg up and kind of a good step in the right direction.
Now,
Right.
Jock, that's probably something the SBDC can help do, right? Is that where
Sean,
we're going
you
with this?
just knocked that right out of the park.
I knew
Way
it.
to go. I
Well,
was going to
Rob,
ask Tia if she knew anybody who could do that. So
well, Rob threw it up there, and I grabbed a bat, and I thought I could
Yeah.
hit that one.
you did. You did very well on that one. That's great. Rob, you mentioned, you said something about how much money you want to put
Yes.
in your statement. So um, is that separate from collateral or that is collateral?
Yeah. So I guess the easiest way to think of it, that to answer your question, that's separate from collateral.
Okay.
So that is, we can put it in simple terms. Let's say you're buying a piece of equipment for this brain surgery business. And let's say for easy numbers, the equipment is $100,000. Okay. And let's say hypothetically, the bank is requiring 20% down. So that 20% is what you consider the cash into the transaction. So that's cash that you're coming up with, whether it's from your business or personal reserves. So that would be your cash or equity or money into the transaction. That's what I mean by that.
Okay. Nice. So, silly question. When is the best time for me to ask for a loan?
No, it's actually a really good question. So I think it kind of goes back to that initial statement. I think once you have your documents in order, once you have kind of an idea what entity documents to bring, and then you ask yourself those initial questions in terms of what do I need the money for? What do I plan on using as collateral? I think that's when you set up a time with your local lender, whether it's somebody new or somebody you trust, or you can call us directly. It'd be great. We would love to have a meeting and set up an idea or a meeting just to get an idea of what you're looking to accomplish. Because our end result, really, we just want to know what your goals are, and we want to know what steps to take to really get you to meeting those goals.
So, can I just go to the SBA and get a loan from them?
You could, yeah, you could. And there's times where if we're not able to make the loan for you, that's where we will leverage our SBA resources. Really, it's we use them more as like a partnership. We'll put them in touch with someone through the SBA, set up a meeting. Hey, ABC company needs to build or is looking to buy a piece of real estate. We're not able to accomplish it, but maybe this is something you could help with. And the SBA is actually a really good resource. And just their website alone is very, very helpful. And there's times if we aren't able to accomplish the loan, I'll at least get contact info of the person that called or someone I met with. And I'll put links in there from the SBA, just letting them know, hey, this is what I found based on what you're telling me. I think you can get an SBA loan if we get X, Y, Z accomplished.
But do I go through the SBA or do I go through a bank to get an SBA loan?
Typically, you'll go through a bank to get an SBA loan. So the way that works, and without going too deep into it, so the way that will work is the bank will originate their loan. So to give the listeners an idea, so the SBA is there to help guarantee a portion of the financing, and it also gives small business owners an ability to put in less cash into a transaction. So if a bank sometimes requires 20% in, again, these are hypotheticals, if we require 20% cash into the transaction, but the borrower does not have that money, there's times where the SBA can come in and actually finance the project at 10% equity or 10% cash in. And the way we accomplish that is the bank will finance the initial note. The SBA guarantees a portion of that, and then the borrower comes up with the remainder. That's fairly as simplified as I can make it, but once you see it on paper, it's a little bit easier.
So, Rob, I'm gonna, Jock, can I ask you a question here real quick? This is gonna sound kind of silly, but let's think non-pandemic time, and I've got this successful brain surgery business that all of a sudden starts to decline. I still have overhead, I still have rent, I still have bills to pay, and I'm finding myself not being able to make those payments, and I'm going to need a loan. But my cash flow and all my business is starting to go downward. I may not have anything to get a loan. Like I'm running out of money. Is that where I go to the SBA? Do I go to the SBDC? Do I go to the bank? Where do I go when I'm in trouble? Because I think most people that own a business think, well, I can't get a loan because I don't have any money and my business is going in the toilet. So then they just close or they just give up. Is that a time to give up, or should you try to seek out a loan at that point, non-pandemic time?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think assuming it's non-pandemic time and things are going south, I would urge you to call a local lender just to see what options there are. Just because you think the past couple of years they're not going to show enough cash flow doesn't necessarily mean we can't provide some sort of options. At those point in times, that's where I do leverage my contacts through the SBA to at least see, hey, this is where we're at through year 3 of the business cycle. Do you think we could get something accomplished? And again, there's a lot of resources on the SBA website, and whether it's through the SBDC, I would urge you to call the lender anyways. That way it'll help you make that transition from, okay, I need a loan. Who do I speak with? The lender can help facilitate that and be a resource for you.
All right.
So, Rob, I don't have a relationship with the bank, or maybe I have a checking account.
Sure.
Where should I go to try to get a loan?
No, that's a good question. I would lean towards a bank. I would have you speak with the lender. I know there's grants out there, whether it's state of Illinois, not so much. Okay.
No, that's a fallacy. And thank you, Rob, for bringing that up. Everybody thinks, oh, I can qualify for a grant. Now, there was a grant program recently that was called Back to Business that the state was giving out, which was really kind of easy to qualify for. You needed to have your tax returns for 19 and 20 done, and you needed to show a loss in 20. Basically, that was it.
Okay.
Again, not enough people took advantage of it, but that was the only true grant that was easy to get. All these other things, people think I'm going to get a grant. It is a long, drawn-out process. You really need to know what you're doing, and they're few and far between. So don't ever say the G word ever again, Rob, okay?
Okay.
Right.
Sounds
good. Wait, Tia has some. Well, she just pushed him out of the way, Sean.
That's how a Weekend Update works, by the way, on SNL.
I wanted to piggyback off what Dr. Jock asked. I have a bank account. Who do I talk to? Oftentimes, like say, when you go into your local bank or wherever you're banking, here we're going to talk about Heartland. But if you come into the branch that you're comfortable with, oftentimes you've already built a relationship, whether it be with your manager, your banker, your teller. Go to them, because we'll go ahead and put you in contact with who you need to be. And if it's more comfortable for you as well for us to join you on your first meeting or to make that first phone call with you, we're happy to do that. So just anybody at your bank will take care of you.
Great.
Thank you, Tia.
That's very helpful.
Thank you.
Sean, do you have anything else?
Well, of course I have more.
Okay.
I mean, I am the hostess with the mostest. I think that's what Jock called me earlier before we started this thing. So when it comes down to the bank, what are they looking for approving and originating that loan? Like, okay, so I've got all my documents, I've got all the stuff, but that doesn't mean just because I have everything that you asked me for that you're going to approve that loan. So what are those little finite things that you're looking for that is going to help me get approved?
Right. Yeah. And really the easiest way I think of that is, you guys may already be aware of this, but it's the 5 C's of credit. Just think of it as, so the first C would be character. How is the borrower, the applicant, or customer's character been?
Sean has no shot at this loan, obviously.
I'm doing brain surgery here, so.
Right. All right, that C's done. Okay, next one, Rob.
So assuming we could get past the character,
well, maybe not.
Then we hit on capital. So that one is the equity in, or the cash into the transaction.
I'm failing here. I'm failing
for 2.
So character and capital. Okay.
All right,
Is there
come
anything
on.
else I
Come
can
on,
do?
Rob. He needs a win.
There's 3 more. So capacity. So what is the ability of the borrower to repay the loan? So whether it's from the business perspective or personal cash flow.
It doesn't have to be about me, guys. You know
Thank
that,
God.
right? Okay,
Right.
that's good. Whew.
And then the last two is collateral and conditions. So collateral is what can we pledge as collateral? What type of collateral is it going to be? Is it real estate, equipment? Is it business assets? And then conditions. So conditions would be managerial experience. How much time have you spent with the company? What's your background in? Have you been a brain surgeon before?
Surely not.
Conditions is a little bit more, I guess, vague, but so it's the 5 C's of credit. That's typically what we'll look for before we originate.
All right. So with all of those, there's a lot of things there.
Yep.
What if again, I managed to fit all those categories. I managed to give you everything you need. That still doesn't guarantee me a loan, though.
Yes and no. I think if you hit all 5 of those, I think you're on the right track. There's got to be some sort of other circumstance that we're not aware of that we would want to know about, and we would have a discussion. That's what's nice about having a local lender or somebody you can trust and confide with. Just having that conversation of, hey, I didn't see this coming. Do you think that's going to impact my ability to qualify for a loan? I like to have those conversations up front. That way we can, again, put our best foot forward.
No surprises during that criteria search, and suddenly like, oh, I didn't know this. Why didn't you tell me this up front? We could have,
Yes.
Correct. This is going to tank the whole thing, or this is going to affect
Right.
you getting a loan or not. So what I'm taking away from that conversation is it's important to be upfront with your lender on everything and not try to hold anything back, because sooner or later during that process, something might come out. So if you've got a skeleton in your closet with your business, you might as well make sure you're upfront with your lender so that doesn't affect you down the road.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And there's times I know there's lenders that are pretty direct, and they'll say, have there been any prior repayment issues? Have you filed for bankruptcy? I know it's one of the questions on our financial statement, personal financial statement, that you have to certify to. So if you do file or select yes, we'll just want more information on that and see if the story makes sense.
Rob, are there any hard no's, like you would just not even consider the person?
There's times where yes and no. So again, it's more of if we're unable to do the loan and we know that up front, yeah, I'm not gonna spin your tires and take you down the path. I'll let you know up front, and I'll let you know why, right? And if it makes sense if I see a path forward, so if I see in the next couple of years that, hey, I think we can get you a loan because of this, I'll let you know that. I want to work with you even if we don't do the loan. And that's where I'll also see if there's additional resources, whether we can establish a banking relationship, provide some additional services or products that the bank can offer. Again, I'll leverage my resources to help you accomplish your goals, even if we're not able to do the loan.
So let's say I have bad personal credit, but
Sure.
my business is doing okay. How does that weigh in? And I know that's a hard question to answer.
Or,
'cause it
I
depends.
mean, even with that question, it could be either or. You've got bad
Right.
personal credit and great business, or you've got great personal credit, but your business does not.
Sure. Yeah. And a lot of times there's a story, right? There's a story for whether it's bad credit, there was a mishap or something that caused you to miss a lot of payments on your personal debt, and you weren't able to make those payments, but you got out of it in some sort of fashion. And vice versa. If the business, let's say, went during the pandemic, had to shut down for a period of time, we understand that. We understand that story. It doesn't necessarily mean that we can't do the loan, but as long as we can make sense of the story and we can say, okay, well, they're out of that period of time now, they can repay the loan based off of what we've seen in their prior history, then yes, there's still a path forward. But again, we'll ask for those questions up front, and we'll try to dig in as quickly as possible.
So maybe Tia can answer this one. Tia, for credit repair, do you guys have anything that can help with credit repair? for these people just starting out?
We absolutely do. In fact, we offer a kind of a mini workshop or a program to go over, whether it's a webinar or a one-on-one in a small group setting, or again, one-on-one, we'll go over how to, the how to get back on track, how to repay your credit. And then we can also offer up, then we do a small collateral loan with them to help build their credit after they complete their course with us. So we do have a method to get them back on track.
Okay, great.
All right, Tia, Rob, I'm going to kind of close up with this. After all that we've been talking about, is there like a specific story or a situation where somebody went through the thing and successfully got that business loan that they were desperately needing, or something that worked out in the end for them?
Sure.
Sean wait, Rob. Sean wants to know if there's hope for him. Really
well, I do, because this brain surgery thing, I've been thinking about it hard. Now I have a headache. So
yes. Actually, so one story that I'd like to share is really, so it was a business owner it was a carpet installer, flooring installer, who had been in business for 25 plus years, maybe 30 years. They were looking to get out because they were close to retirement, but they didn't want to sell to an investor or somebody outside the company. So they decided to sell to a relative. That relative was a customer of the bank and wanted to buy the company. They were interested in it. They had worked for the company, I think it was 10 plus years. But the issue was they didn't have the cash to buy the company outright. They needed the financing to buy the company, to finish buying the company. So they came to us and just, we had a meeting and figured out, okay, what's going to get us from the initial stage to the final stage. And what we ended up doing was it was a cash out refi on his primary residence. So a cash out refinance. So you refinance the mortgage, use money to inject into the business. So to buy the business. And then we provided the financing for the business owner, the new business owner. So long story short, we refied his house to help buy the business, establish some business banking accounts, treasury management accounts, additional services that kind of helped him get off and running.
Sounds
great.
Yeah, well, at least there's a success story there. I don't think that would happen with the brain surgery business, but I'm glad that a local carpet installer has a happy ending there.
Yeah,
I'm thinking my brain surgery business, it's probably going downhill quick.
Well,
yeah,
that would be my first advice, Sean. So if you contacted the SBDC, I'm sorry, Rob, to cut you off.
No worries. And all I was going to say is the whole point of that story is we were able to use our resources within the bank to help put their best foot forward. Because again, we don't want to put them in a bind. We want to make sure it makes sense for them personally and for the bank as well.
With a couple minutes left here, Dr. Jock, is there anything you want to add to the end of this conversation? Which I'm almost scared to ask that question sometimes, but I'm going to turn it over to you and hope you're going to say something nice.
Well, I don't know if this is nice, but it's very practical. Years ago, I read this book, and which is strange in and of itself. But
I was going to say that. I'm glad you threw that out.
It was a business book, and the guy who wrote it was an entrepreneur, and he said, never ask for an umbrella when it's raining. And that reminds me of banks, in that should you really ask for a loan when you need it? Or should you be prepared ahead of time just so that if it is raining, you're going to qualify easier than if you don't prepare for that? What do you think of that, Rob?
No, it's a very good thought. I think it goes back to the whole business plan. Within your business plan, from there, you'll see, okay, in 2 years, I plan on being here. In 5 years, I plan on being here. And with that, you want to figure out, okay, if my company does grow to a certain size, what type of financing do I need? And like you said, do you ask for that loan early on? Do you ask for it when it's actually needed? Yeah, I think if you keep the dialogue open with your lender and keep the conversations going, I think you'll be able to make those decisions a little bit easier.
And ironically enough, the SBDC really insists that our clients actually do financial projections. And they balk at it like, well, why would I want to do that? And we always say it's kind of like, stop looking in the rearview mirror at what happened and look ahead to see what could be there.
Sure.
So,
Yep. No, that makes
All right.
sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Tia, Rob from Heartland Bank, thanks for joining us today. Slide on in there, Tia. Thank you.
Well,
This
you
is
know,
so
I'm
great.
captain one more thought.
All right, I gotta hear this.
Well, I find it important that I want to convey this. I hear often people are hesitant to ask for help. They're hesitant to even ask questions. I think they think advice comes at a cost. And I want to be clear that it's free. We're here to help you. Your success, your business success is success for our community. So we want to be there for you. And if we don't have the answers, we know people and we'll put you in touch with those people. And it doesn't cost to come and ask these questions, as minute as they may seem or as far out of reach as you may think that they are. We will get you there because we are invested in your success as well as community members.
All right. Jock, anything to add to that?
no, that was a great statement. And again, the services of the SBDC are free. So, because we get money from the Small Business Administration, we get money from the state, we get money from Waubonsie College, from Kish College, and we get money from local banks like Heartland, who's been contributing the last 4 or 5 years to help the cause in our area. So thank you.
All right. Tia, Rob, thanks for joining us today. Dr. Jock, it's always a pleasure having
Always
you on
mine.
our webinar series. It's the ABCs of getting a loan today. Rob, wave, everybody. That's it. There we go. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys, and stay tuned for our next installment when we have that. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.